Hello, everyone. How we doing tonight? Can I get a quick little sound check, little video check as well? Hit me up with a message in chat. Awesome, Terrell. Thank you. We have a very nice week coming. Very, very nice week. Sorry, been feeling a little bit under the weather these past few days, so I might be a little bit slow to talk. But very nice week coming. We have three high impact news days, right? So three high probability trading days going from Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So definitely expecting a classic expansion, no reversal, no bullshit consolidation. I'm expecting classic beautiful days, even if it's the last week of the month, right? So typically on that week, you would anticipate a little more consolidation, but I do expect our news events to be classified as expansion afterwards, right? We'll have to see in our price action reviews, but definitely a very, very nice week. Sorry, I just saw a message about something, but we are doing fine. Now, we've talked about time, right? We have our elements of time. We know what days of the week we want to engage with price. But now, how about price? Exactly, right? We see clearly if we just look at the two previous candles, right? So I am focusing on these two candles right here. We can see that ES is way stronger than NASDAQ. So we are currently uncorrelated, which usually means that we are going to form some SMT, right? And if we remember, we already have higher time frame SMT. So this is indeed a place where I could see a retracement. And by retracement, I mean a move lower into our range. Now, as I have said last week, do we need to see a retracement all the way to discount? Not at all, right? We're extremely bullish, clearly. Let me just change this very quickly. We're extremely bullish, so we don't have to see a move lower. And of course, our long-term objectives are higher. At least that, for me, they are indeed higher for the moment. And going into early September, I'd like to see SMT form at this key level to form a lower September, if we can say it like this. But to get back on subject, since we don't have to retrace all the way to discount, where could we anticipate? Well, if I don't use my premium discount of this leg, all I can do is look at every single inefficiency. So for example, at the moment, I am looking at this fair value gap, which I do not see yet to be invalidated. Now, if you don't include the volume imbalance in this fair value gap, of course, we've closed through it, sure. But if you do include the volume imbalance, which is how I teach to utilize them, you'll see that we have not yet closed through it. Hence, we are respecting this gap for the moment. And so, Monday will frame our whole idea. If I said I expect a classic week, let's take a second here, a little teaching moment. For a classic week, I anticipate that price will open, go and form one point of structure, and continuously expand up until the other point of structure to then retrace to a close. Now, this is an example of a classic buy week, the little drawing I just made, which I will move right here so we have a little more room. Now, if I anticipate a classic buy week, and I understand that news are associated with manipulation, then I know that I'm going to look for a manipulation here, then retracement into continuation, retracement into continuation to form. Now, I can't put it specifically in the middle, but I am trying to put this line in the middle. And that's what I want to see with my specific news. Now, if we see lower first, which means Monday consolidates or goes lower, what do I then want to see? Well, I want to see an expansion higher. But the opposite can also be said, and I'll just flip my chart so that it's easier for me to do. By the way, you can just do this on TradingView with Alt-I. It just flips your chart. If you look at the numbers to the right, you'll see that they are opposite. But if I see a classic sell week, then it is all framed on the fact that Monday consolidated and then went higher. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. And that is how I will utilize what happens on Monday on my first high probability trade of the week, high probability trading day, sorry, of the week, which is Tuesday. So if I see lower prices, which respect this gap or our future gap, right? We could see a huge range day on Monday. We always see some crazy things sometimes on Monday. So we could see an open into a low to then expand into a high. and that would be my frame. But if I see the opposite right here, and more specifically, we would see NASDAQ form some sort of SMT, right? We already have SMT, but NASDAQ forms some sort of SMT, possibly lower time frame. We can already tell ES is way stronger to the upside. Well, then I will anticipate us to have a week that is a retracement, right? And also, if we take a second to look at the monthly power of three, right? Because yes, we did say it was the last week of the month. Well, what did we do this month? We opened, put up a huge low, and then just retrace back to revisit that open, close above it, right? Closed through it, expanded through it, and now we have retested that level. This is a pattern that you will always see. Head to any type of 1 minute chart, right? And more specifically, I concentrate on futures. Look at the 10 a.m. open, look at the 2 p.m. open. We form these patterns all the time. Now, within the last few weeks have been mostly consolidation in the PM session, but if you concentrate on that 10 a.m. candle, you'll see it. We open, we go form a point of structure, then expand through the open of the candle to then retest that level, and that is your continuation opportunity. I actually have a friend that trades this as purely his entire model. Well, now this is what I'm looking for. I want a continuation to the upside, and then early September, I want to see some sort of reversal form at this point to then go lower. But as I said, I trade probabilities. I'm always ready for any possible outcomes, and my whole analysis is based on if-then statements. So if we go lower first, I'm going to anticipate higher. If we open and we go higher, form key structure, which means for me SMT at a key level, and I'm looking at session liquidity, I'm looking at opening prices more specifically. Well, then I will anticipate this week to be a retracement lower, and since NASDAQ is weaker, that is drawing on the wrong side. Let me just reverse this for a sec. Since NASDAQ is the weaker asset, it is the one that could possibly retrace to a discount. And for that, my target would be this inverse fair value gap, my first discount in efficiency. So lower objective, even though it is quite far, 1,000 handles. This is my lower objective. And as for higher objective, well, it's very clear. We have one gap above this invalidation of this SMT into this gap. And then if we keep expanding higher, which is where you'd anticipate ES to achieve this level first, we're looking at long-term buy-side liquidity. Do we have any questions about what we are looking for this week, when we want to engage, or anything related to trading, right? I'm pretty open with these question sessions. How will you position yourself for an entry? Now, this is very specific because it has multiple input variables, right? I'm talking as a coder now because that's all I have done in the past few weeks. But those input variables, for example, so what you have to consider to just answer your question are, okay, well, what is the current day looking like? So I have news. Okay, how do I engage with news? And then I have power of three. Where are we in relation to the power of three? Did we put up a low? Is there a low of day candidate? Am I ready to go long? Is the session profiling in line with my idea? Now that is way too much to just answer in one quick sit down, right? It is a lot of information, and it all has to do with how I relate to price. And the truth is, the best way you can learn that is by going back over my price action reviews. I review every high probability trading day straight on YouTube, right? If you go to my official links, and you can find my YouTube channel there, this is actually being recorded at the moment as well, if you guys didn't know. But you can find all my price action reviews, see how I engage with price. And the main thing that I do that not a lot of people do is I don't just tell you where the trade was. I explain how you could have known that that was a trade. So definitely worth looking into, and it will give you great insight into how I view price and how I translate these outlooks into trade ideas. I appreciate that, D1. I appreciate that a lot. Do we have any other questions for tonight? I see we have a smaller audience. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. I'm seeing someone type, so I'm going to give it a second. No worries. Take your time. First time here. Is SMT important to you? Well, first off, welcome, Magic. Glad to have you with us, brother. And yes, SMT is basically in every single trade I take, there has to be SMT. Now, is it always SMT at my exact entry? No. But SMT is always in context. Study of divergence is one thing that really passionates me, if you can say that in English, I believe so, in the analyst section, right? I love to look at divergence, and I love how different price how price interacts with different levels and forms divergence at these levels. So anytime I am in a trade is because there is divergence somewhere, meaning there is SMT somewhere. It is one of the most important concepts. I'd put it right below breaker blocks. If you're looking for shorts, would you always trade the pair that is weaker and vice versa? Now, that is something I talk about quite often, but when I only trade NQ and ES, first off, these are my assets. I want to be a specialist, and my specialty, if I can say it like that, is indices futures. So that is all I trade. I was thinking of expanding towards CL, but truth is, I will only go there if ever I don't feel comfortable trading NASDAQ and ES. So for example, it is not so clean for a little bit. But to answer your question, I do not always trade it. It would be better. The truth is, it would be better. But it wouldn't be better in terms of return. So it would be better psychologically. It would be better in terms of having your trade reach your full objective. So if that's how you define success rate and win rates, then yes. But truth is, for example, I'll show you right here. Imagine this is a 1 minute chart, right? And I'll just remove my drawings here. And I decided to long right here. All right, we are imagining. Now, let's also take into account the fact that we had SMT at this level, right? This seems, it is lower. It seems a little weird, but as you can see, it is lower. So now we have SMT at the lows right here, indicating what? Well, we are indicating that ES is the stronger pair at the moment. And as we've seen from the result, SMT doesn't lie about that kind of stuff. You can't just manually put price down like that. All right. So you can clearly tell ES was the stronger asset. And throughout this whole delivery, it has showcased that it was the stronger asset. Okay. Well, what if I was in a trade here? Well, let's see. I'll put my stop at this swing low, this future swing low, I guess, or here. I'll put the stop at the SMT low. All right. And I'll put my entry on the open of the bullish candle. I'm just trying to get the same proportions, pretty much. I'm trying to keep it proportional. And now my objective was this high. Well, what do I see here? I see 4.45 and 3.53. This is not the best example. I was trying to showcase something special. So I'm actually going to go down to the 1 minute, and we will look back at Friday. Let me just hide indicators for a sec. Let's look at Friday. This is all a trade we reviewed in the PA review, but I am going to utilize it to showcase something. So I'm not going to explain the trade. If you guys want to get the full explanation, as I said, it's all up on my YouTube. But what do you see here? You see ES being the weaker asset. You see NASDAQ being the stronger asset. Yet this time, both reach their objective. It does not always happen like this, right? Sometimes one will reach the objective and the other won't reach said objective. But here's the thing. For example, here, I always use this 3PD array stop loss rule, no matter what. So even if I had the same objectives here, I'd have 4R here and 4.58R here. There we go. Perfect representation of what I wanted to showcase. Even if ES will have an easier time and oftentimes reach lower, right? This is not something we can see so easily on this first leg, but on the second leg and in relation to where we are, we can see that. Well, most often, or more often than not, NASDAQ will offer more R, even if it is not the strongest asset in your direction. So all of that long, extended explication to just tell you, I concentrate on NASDAQ even when ES is the stronger or the weaker, right? Just in line with my direction, because I usually tend to get more risk to reward. and I have standard risk no matter the size of my stop loss. This is something that I'm going to leave for another time, Magic, because I am working on making a video for you guys about the 3PD array stop loss rule. This is how I define an invalidation level for all my trades. If you're impatient, as I said, just go back in my PA reviews and you'll get complete explanations. But this is logic shared by ICT inside of a Twitter space. And I happened to be live during that Twitter space. And since then, it has been my only way to define a stop loss. I'll go in length about it in a quick video that I intend to be releasing in the next week or two. Glad you appreciate it. Before we go, do we have any final questions? Either about, as you guys saw, any type of ICT concept, or more specifically around our outlook this week? All right. Well, on that note, I wish you all good luck if you are trading tomorrow and also Tuesday. And we'll see each other Tuesday night for our PA review. I'll be adding the events right after this call. So you all have a great night and good luck trading.